Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English on Point podcast, the quiet space where we don't just study English as a set of rules to be memorized, but as a living, breathing expression of who you are, where you've been, and what you have to offer the world. And I'm Leo, sitting here with a warm cup of tea on a rainy Tuesday morning, thinking about all the times I've stood on the edge of a conversation, heart pounding, palms sweating, mind racing with perfect sentences that never made it past my lips. Not because I didn't know the words, but because I was so afraid of saying them imperfectly that I chose silence instead. And if you've ever felt that too, the quiet ache of having something important to say, but holding it back because your brain was too busy editing, correcting, and catastrophizing to let your voice out, then this episode is for you. Because today, we're not talking about grammar, vocabulary, or fluency as a finish line. We're talking about courage as a daily practice, about learning to trust that your voice, accented, tentative, beautifully human, is not just welcome in the English-speaking world, but deeply needed. And the good news is that you don't need to wait until you're ready to start speaking. You just need to begin, softly, imperfectly, bravely, one small sentence at a time. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together today. You see, for so long, I believed that speaking English well meant speaking it perfectly, that every sentence had to be grammatically flawless, every pronunciation spot on, every word chosen with literary precision. And that belief didn't make me a better speaker, it made me a quieter one. Because the gap between what I wanted to say and what I felt allowed to say was so wide that I often chose not to cross it at all. And I know I'm not alone in this, because every week I hear from learners just like you who tell me things like, I understand everything, but when it's my turn to speak, my mind goes blank. Or I rehearse sentences in my head for hours, but I never say them out loud. Or I'm tired of feeling like a ghost in English conversations, present but silent. And what I want you to know right from the start is that this isn't a language problem, it's a permission problem. And the permission you need isn't coming from a textbook, a teacher, or a native speaker. It's already inside you, waiting for you to claim it. And today, we're going to do just that. Not through force, but through kindness. Not through pressure, but through practice. And not through perfection, but through presence. So before we go any further, I want to invite you to take a deep breath with me right now. Not because this is a lesson to be rushed through, but because this is a conversation to be lived in, a space to be inhabited. A reminder that you don't have to be flawless to be heard. You don't have to be fluent to be understood, and you don't have to be fearless to be brave. And as we talk today, I hope you'll hear not just strategies, but a kind of gentle invitation. An invitation to stop editing yourself before you even begin, to stop shrinking your message to fit someone else's expectations, and to start speaking from the place of knowing that your voice, exactly as it is, has value. And that value isn't diminished by an accent, a pause, or a mispronounced word. It's amplified by your willingness to show up and share your truth anyway. Now, let's begin by naming the invisible barrier so many of us face, the belief that communication is a performance to be judged rather than a connection to be shared. And this belief is so deeply woven into our learning experience that it's easy to forget that real English, the English spoken in homes, cafes, offices, and parks around the world, is messy, accented, full of ums, interruptions, and half-finished thoughts. And it belongs not to a mythical, perfect speaker, but to a global community of humans who use it to laugh, argue, comfort, and connect. And when we hold ourselves to an impossible standard of perfection, we don't just silence ourselves, we disconnect ourselves from the very humanity that makes language meaningful. And the truth is that the people around you aren't listening for flawless grammar. They're listening to you, your ideas, your warmth, your perspective. And when you speak from that place, they lean in. Let me tell you about a moment that changed everything for me. It was a cold November evening in Berlin, and I was attending a small gathering of language learners at a cozy bookstore cafe. Warm lights, the smell of old paper and coffee, soft jazz playing in the background, and I found myself sitting across from a woman named Sophia, who had just moved from Chile and was speaking English with a beautiful, melodic Spanish rhythm. And as we talked about our favorite books, she said something that struck me deeply. I used to wait until my sentence was perfect before I spoke, but then I realized that by the time I was ready, the conversation had already moved on, and I was left alone with my perfect silence. And in that moment, I saw myself so clearly. The years I'd spent rehearsing conversations in my head, only to stay quiet in real life. The opportunities I'd missed to connect, to share, to be seen, all because I was waiting for a version of myself that didn't need to exist. And Sophia's words became my mantra. Better a small, real sentence than a perfect, silent one. And this isn't just poetic, it's practical. Because every time you choose to speak, even imperfectly, you do three powerful things. You strengthen your neural pathways for spontaneous speech. Your brain learns by doing, not by thinking about doing. You build trust with others. People connect with authenticity, not perfection. And you reclaim your right to belong in the English-speaking world, not as a guest, but as a citizen with something valuable to contribute. But how do you actually make this shift from thinking to talking? How do you calm the noisy room in your head and let your voice out? It starts with understanding that overthinking is not your enemy. It's your overprotective friend, trying to keep you safe from embarrassment, judgment, or failure. And instead of fighting it, you can gently thank it for its concern and say, I hear you, but I'm going to speak anyway. And then you give yourself simple, kind tools to make speaking feel less scary. Tool 1, the power of the small sentence. Stop trying to speak like a novel. Real conversations are built from small, simple sentences, like, I agree. That's interesting. I feel the same way. And these are not less than, they are the foundation of human connection. Ask yourself, what's the smallest version of what I want to say? Instead of, I've been reflecting on the implications of this project, and I believe we should consider alternative methodologies. Try, I have an idea. Can I share it? Same intent, less pressure, more likely to be said. Tool 2, reaction words as bridges. You don't need a full thought to join a conversation. Use reaction words to show you're listening and buy yourself time. Oh, really? That makes sense. No way. I've been there too. These aren't filler, they're invitations to yourself and to the other person to keep the conversation flowing. Tool 3, ready phrases for common moments. Prepare 5 to 10 simple sentences for situations you face often. Could you say that again, please? I'm not sure I understand. Can you explain? That's a great point. Here's how I see it. Practice them until they feel automatic, like muscle memory, so your brain doesn't have to work so hard in the moment. Tool 4, low pressure practice spaces. Build your confidence in safe environments. Talk to yourself while cooking, walking, or showering. Okay, I'm chopping onions. They smell sharp. I feel calm today. Send voice notes to a trusted friend. Hey, practicing English. My sentence might be messy, but I'm trying. And stand in front of a mirror and say one true thing. Today, I choose to speak, even if my voice shakes. But perhaps the most important tool is changing your inner narrative, because the way you speak to yourself shapes the way you show up in the world. And if your inner voice is harsh, you sound stupid. Your accent is terrible. Just stay quiet. Of course you'll hesitate, But what if you spoke to yourself like you would to a dear friend? Instead of my English is bad, try my English is under construction. And that's beautiful. Instead of I can't do this, try I'm learning to do this one small sentence at a time. And this isn't just positive thinking, it's identity work. Because every time you choose to speak, you're not just practicing English, you're practicing belonging. And every time you share your truth, you're not just using words, you're weaving yourself into the fabric of a global community that is richer because you're in it. So, as we come to the close of our time together today, I want to leave you with this. Your voice matters, not in spite of your accent, but because of it. Not in spite of your pauses, but because they show your thinking. Not in spite of your imperfections, but because they make you human. And the world doesn't need another perfect speaker. It needs you with your unique rhythm, your cultural wisdom, your story only you can tell. So take a deep breath, my friend, and know that you are not alone on this journey. We are walking it with you, one small sentence at a time. And if this conversation resonated with you, I'd be honored if you'd share it with someone else who's holding back their voice. And if you'd like to keep walking this path with us, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And in the comments below, tell us one situation where I overthink and stay quiet is because your honesty might be the very thing that gives someone else the courage to speak their truth too. Thank you for listening with your whole heart today. You are more than enough, just as you are. Keep talking, keep connecting, keep being heard.